Nithya Ramachandra from the NR Sports Show. This is episode 994. We are live on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Spotify, on all the podcast platforms. And fans, please tune in on the Spreaker app. You can ask questions on this app. We are joined by a really special guest tonight. His name is Charlie Bell. He's a former Michigan State NBA overseas player. Man, what a great career he had playing in the NBA overseas and also Michigan State. He's from Flint, Michigan. He was an Italian league top scorer, Spanish team top scorer, man, NCAA champion. He did it all throughout his basketball career. And fans, please tune in, ask questions on the Speaker app to Charlie Bell. And first of all, Charlie, I just want to say thank you for joining the show. It's truly an honor. How are you and your family doing today?
Everybody's doing well, man. Just getting through the day. The weather's pretty good here today in Michigan. I think it's supposed to warm up a little bit. Too bad, I got to work, but I ain't gonna be able to get out there on that golf course, man. But golf season is around the corner.
Yeah, and obviously, happy belated birthday too. So I'm sure it was awesome yesterday for your birthday. And but I got you on good timing with March Madness starting and the NBA season almost done and the playoffs starting. But I want to start off with your amazing career, man, and obviously being from Flint, Michigan. What does that mean to you being from Flint, Michigan, and playing for Michigan State alone?
Flint, if anybody who knows anything about Flint, they know it's a basketball city. It's all about pride. It's all about bragging rights. Even now, I'm 43 years old and I'm playing a 40 and over league, and we out there playing like we 20-some years old. You think it's just going out there just to stay in shape? No, we going out there to compete. It's one of them things. And then going from there to Michigan State and playing with a couple of guys that I battled against in high school with Mateen, Antonio, and Mopi, and just to go out there with those guys at Michigan State and knowing the rich basketball history that came from Michigan State, it just meant a lot just for us to go out there and win a championship and win all the games that we won and really just put Michigan State back on the map as one of the best basketball programs out there. It was a blessing. And sometimes you don't realize until you look back on it how great a run we had.
Are you the Tom Brady of the NBA? I'm still playing in the not in the league, but I'm saying you still play basketball.
I still play, but I'm no Tom Brady though. Trust me. With Tom Brady, even though he played for that other school, man, you got to give him his props, man. He's done throughout his career, and he's older than me, and still to be out there playing at a professional at a very high level, man, you got to give him credit.
Yeah. So for you, who were some of the players that you looked up to growing up in the NBA?
I came up I was a big Michael Jordan fan, so nobody can tell me Michael Jordan's not the GOAT. But I love Michael Jordan. Especially growing up around Detroit, you got to love Isaiah. Isaiah used to come to the Pro-Am there in Flint and put on the show. Joe Dumars was a lunch pail guy. I think back in the day, my dad was a big Larry Bird fan. I've even been to French Lick, Indiana. Wow. So, I was there. So, so I'm a big fan of Larry Bird. I think he's probably one of the greatest players ever, man. So that was a time when basketball is a little different than what it is today, but it was also some great players and some great competition to watch.
Yeah, so you were a shooting guard throughout your career, but did you get to play any other positions throughout your career?
I played a shooting guard, also played the point guard also. I had to, I'm not the prototypical, two guard, 6'4", 6'5". I was only like 6'2", 6'3". So when I came out of college, it was a lot of it's a little different nowadays where everybody's kind of these hybrid positions where back in the day, either you're a point guard, okay, now you got to be a shooting guard, or you got to be a small forward, you got to be a power forward, where now I think the game has evolved where, you see a lot of more free-flowing offenses and guys kind of just playing a lot of different positions. Because you hear that the term positionless basketball is there's no real position. Everybody just kind of moving. And but back when I played, it's like you had a shooting guard, you had a point guard, and combo guard. So I was kind of considered a combo guard, more of a shooting guard, but I can play the point guard.
Well, speaking of positionless basketball, the Warriors do a great job with that, which was your former team, the Warriors. But we already have a fan question for you. One of our fans want to know, what was it like playing underneath Tom Izzo in Michigan State?
Very demanding. I'll put it that way. You see some of the stuff that that he's in the news about in Sports Center when he gets in the guy's face now. It's like that was every day back in the day. That is something I laughed at. after we saw it. And I mean, just that was the coaching back in the day. You look at the Bobby Knights, you look at some of these other coaches, they're getting the guy's face. I mean, it's not like, they want anything bad to happen. It's like, you don't really realize until after you graduated and, but how much coachism and how much he loved us and how much he wanted the best out of us. And that was just his way to get the best out of us. The thing is, you see some kids, right, I ain't gonna say they're soft, but a lot of kids can't take that nowadays. But the thing is, he wants you to play hard, and that's how he's gonna get it out of you. And the thing is like I said, it's very demanding. He knows what it takes to win championships, and that's what he demands out of all his players.
Yeah. So for you, I got to ask you, being from Flint, Michigan, obviously you mentioned Joe Dumars, and we actually had Isaiah Thomas on our show 2 years ago from the Bad Boy Piston. And would you say that was another player that you looked up to too, or?
No, Isaiah was, like I said, he was one of those guys. He showed up at the Flint Pro-Am a couple
Yeah.
times. He'd come, and like I said, that was back, Flint basketball. I mean, and I think Isaiah respected Flint basketball, so he wanted to come up there and play against some of the best. We had some, Glenn Rice, Jeff Greer. We had a lot of great players. Andre Rison, who was a ball player, but a lot of people don't know he was a great basketball player. He just come up there and he'll put a show on, man. Back then is this for a pro-am, you got to pack gym with like 1,000, 1,500 people in there in the summertime just to watch, some pro-am basketball, and Isaiah never disappointed.
Yeah, that's my guy right there, Andre Rison. We also had him on the show too.
Yeah, Dre. I haven't seen. He hasn't played this year, but we played against each other in the 40 and over league.
Yeah. So one of our we have another fan question. They want to know what's the difference between playing pro in the NBA and then between overseas.
It's a different level. I think the gap has shortened quite a bit as far as top European basketball, because and in the NBA. But I would just say, the only thing I would say about the NBA, I think Europe, there's a lot of skilled players. But I think the shooting's probably a little bit better over there, because fundamentals, they're probably a little bit better over there because they're really fundamentally strong over there. I got to give them credit at a young age. They're working on their game. Where here in the U.S. is more of the and-one basketball style. Everybody wants to do all the fancy stuff because of social media. So I think the fundamentals is better overseas, but I think just as far as athleticism, guys being bigger and stronger, and you having to make quicker decisions, in an NBA setting.
Yeah. So speaking of Michigan State, you won an NCAA champion. So take us to that moment, being obviously from Flint, Michigan, and winning a championship for Michigan State.
Probably the highlight of my basketball career. I think even now you see a lot of great colleges, a lot of great teams don't get a chance to win a championship.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things, especially when you talk about college basketball. It's, who can get hot and win 6 games in a row. It's not about. You got to be the best team, but at the same time, that takes a little bit of consistency. Takes, I wouldn't say luck, but at the same time, you got to go out there and you really got to, be locked in for 6 straight games. You can't have a game where you have a lull where things don't go well, and now next thing you one and done. It's time to go home. And I think that's one thing why Izzo is very demanding, because with that same mistake that you may make in a game, against a smaller, mid-major program, if he lets you get away with that, you're gonna think it's okay. But now when you're playing against the Dukes and North Carolinas, and you might be in the Final Four, if he let you get away with that before, now in your mind, you're conditioned. You might make that same mistake, whereas he nipped it in the bud, and the past make off a game in the tournament.
Yeah, I want to piggy off on that. Would you say that playing against top level competition in college got you ready for the pros?
Yeah, I think that, and playing against top level competition over in Europe. I think I got a chance. I got cut a few times, when I first came out of college. But but at the same time, I kept working. There was things I needed to work on, and I got a chance to play against some of the best players. Even my first year out of college, playing against Manu Ginobili over in Europe. That was one of the things that, and everybody know how great Manu is. So I got a chance to play against him straight out of college, and he was over in Europe, playing really well. So just, I think both college and, going overseas, really developed my game and helped me become an NBA player that I became.
Yeah. So speaking of Michigan State, What's it like seeing your alumni still going at it? Tom Izzo, man, still coaching at a high level, and obviously they're back in the March Madness tournament. And also Steve Smith's son is playing for Michigan State too. So what's that been like for
Uh-huh.
you seeing that your former college still going at it?
I mean, I just love to see that they're still competing, year in and year out. I think, Coach Izzo's done a great job. We're having, some great talent some years the talent just not the same. But at the same time, you can always count on Coach Izzo, Coach team to go out there and play his hardest. And I think when y'all look at the team now, it's like, yeah, we have, moments when we're not playing well. We can lose to some of the top teams, but I think there's times when we go out there and play pretty well. I think we can beat anybody in the country.
Yeah, so we have another fan question. One of our fans want to know who was the toughest player you had to guard in the NBA.
Oh, that's easy. Kobe Bryant.
Yeah,
I think, yeah, everybody, I get that question a lot. I mean, Kobe, LeBron. I think LeBron's a great player. And if he's one of those things, if he gets hot, then you might be in a long night. But, he's more of a playmaker. He's going to make the right play, getting assists. But Kobe's trying to score. He's a scorer, so that was one of the things. And every time he touched that ball, you had to be ready. You had to be ready because if you weren't, he was going to make you pay for it. Whereas, you look at some other players, they may, look to pass, do some other things like that. But one thing about Kobe, man, every time he touched that ball, he's a threat to score.
speaking of Kobe, obviously just devastating to see what happened to him and his daughter, and rest in peace. And I live by the mama mentality. So what? Just tell our fans what was it like just competing against him on the court, obviously off the court, one of the best players, and he's all about family and loyalty. So what was it like for you? What did that mean to you just to be on the same court as him?
You had to be ready to play.
Yeah,
Like you talk about that mama mentality. I mean, there was no games that he was going to take off. There was no possessions that he was going to take off. And I think the thing is not just on the offensive end, but defensively. If he had to guard me, I know I had to, do my best to take care of the basketball because he's a strong player. He's going to try to get steals. He's a great defender. So not just offensively, but defensively, and he wants to win. And he had that. Like I said, I was a big Michael Jordan fan, and I think Kobe's the next thing, the closest to Michael Jordan to me, in my opinion. But just one of those guys who just had his will to win was something else. I mean, it's very unmatched, and a lot of guys don't have that same mentality today. And some guys do. I mean, there's some guys I wouldn't want to guard now, but back then it was a guy, like Kobe's one of those guys I didn't want to play against.
yeah. So obviously you were undrafted, but the Phoenix Suns gave you the first opportunity to start your career. So take us to that process. How tough is it for you not getting drafted, but the Phoenix Suns giving you the first opportunity?
I mean, it hurt. I mean, at the same time, I just continue to just keep working. Like
Yeah.
there's only so many players that can get drafted. And, one thing about me is always live by the motto is like, the cream rises to the crop. The thing is you may get overlooked at first. It may take a year, it may take a two, but you just got to keep working, figure out what it is that you need to work on and get better at it. So, like when I didn't get drafted, I just said, okay, what I need to work on. I got a call from the Phoenix Suns to come out for Summer League, and I went out there and played well and earned the contract. And, things didn't work out, but at the same time, I didn't let it distract me. I didn't let it get me down. I just kept working and was just what I need to work on. I need to work on my shooting. I need to work on my ball handling, just getting better every year. And I think that's something that I learned from Michigan State under Coach Izzo is that, after one season, you can be like, you know what, we made it to the Final Four. Oh, well, can we win a Big Ten championship? But Coach Izzo was always had that mentality of, let's prepare for what's next. Okay, are we happy for winning the Big Ten? Let's win to get to the Final Four next year. Okay, we have with the Final Four. Let's continue to work. Let's get better. And I think that's one of the things I always kind of took with me throughout my whole career, just getting better every year.
Yeah, so well, like I said, like I said earlier, you had a great career. You worked your ass off. You kept going back and forth from overseas to the NBA. So what was that like? The traveling for you, the adjustment of going to the NBA, going overseas, and learning different cultures.
It was I was shell shocked, when I first got overseas. I mean, like I say, a kid from Flint, who hasn't been out the country. I mean, it was different, just kind of going over there. Luckily, the good thing is my first year over there, I was over there for like 3 months. So I only got after 3 months, I was ready to go. But all the other years after that, I think I was used to overseas life. Kind of was accustomed to how to do things at the grocery store. How to say different things, how to ask for different things, how to kind of get my maneuver around the city. But that was just things I didn't know when I first got there, and I struggled. I struggled just with everything that because you don't know how spoiled you are just by living in America and just all the stuff. Or you go to the grocery store, you got 101 different cereals. Where overseas, they don't have that same uh, variety that we got over here in the U.S. Fast food. We got all the different fast food. It's very seldom to see a fast food restaurant over, in Europe. So it's a little different. Things are a little bit slower, but I loved every minute of it.
Yeah, so we have another fan question for you. They want to know what was your hype music throughout your career?
I think college. Nah, we used to listen to a whole bunch of different stuff. One thing I do remember is like a lot of Tupac. That was one of our things that we had like a whole little thing that we would say before games with like a little Tupac. When I was in high school, my big thing was Redman. I'm a big LL Cool J fan,
Yeah.
so yeah, so yeah, just a little different. Jay-Z. I mean, whatever was popular at the time, that was pretty much what we listened to. A lot of Flint music, the Dayton family, Top Authority. It was just because we had a lot of Flint guys on the team, so we definitely took over the sound system.
And another fan wants to know what was your favorite food while you were overseas?
My favorite food while I was overseas. Well, I'm a big sea guy, so I used to have like just seafood pasta. I love oysters, raw oysters, sushi. I mean, that's like one of my favorite things. But when I was over there, I love seafood, and they had a lot of fresh food over there. So I would say the seafood pasta was probably my favorite go to. I used to, and I fell in love with wine over there too. So I was drinking a lot of wine, a lot of prosciutto, a lot of mozzarella. So I was living the European lifestyle to the fullest.
Yeah, so I believe, in my opinion, your career started to take off when you went to the Bucks. You spent a lot of time with the Bucks before going to the Warriors. So explain to our fans, what was it like playing for the Bucks? And you played with Charlie Westbrook, TJ Ford, Jamal McGlory, Michael Redd, man, one of the best shooters I've seen in the game too. So underrated player. Everybody forgets about him too. So
Well, he had a couple of injuries, but like you said, he was one of those guys in practice. I've seen him make 20, 30, 40, threes straight, like effortlessly. Like you see Steph doing it now. I mean, that was Michael Redd back in the day. TJ Ford was probably one of the fastest guys I ever played with. Jamal McGlory, like I said, one of the strongest guys I ever played with. So I played with a lot of great players, and Andrew Bogut, who I still keep in contact with today. Andrew was a very great teammate of mine. We kind of played off each other a little bit. I mean, so he was a great passer, a big man. So I played with a lot of great players, and I got lucky just being in the right place at the right time. A couple, we already talked about Michael Redd got injured. Mo Williams got injured. And, I was like, it was one of those next man up, things just got to be ready. And I put myself in a position by working out and working on everything I need to work on. So when I got into that position, I was ready to excel because nobody knows when your number is going to be called. But when your number is called, you got to go out there and play well. And I was able to do that for 2 straight years with those guys kind of had a couple of injuries and was able to get a big contract out of it.
Yeah, and speaking of, your front court was loaded that time. You had Joe Smith, McGlory, obviously Dan Gadgerich, obviously Bogut. What was it like for you guys as a team, being shooting guards? And for example, if someone double teams you guys, you had the big man open. What was the front court was loaded?
No, we had really like like I said, Joe Smith being a veteran. I think at the time we had like Tony Kukoc for a year or two. So I mean, I played with a lot of great guys, but we were very unselfish. Even when something happened with us, like I said, Andrew was a great passer. Joe Smith was a great passer. Jamal was a great passer. So we had a lot of great guys who did, made plays for each other.
So correct me if I'm wrong. Were you still there when Giannis came in?
I was not there. Nope,
Okay.
I was not there.
Okay. Yeah. So tell our fans about playing in front of those fans in Milwaukee, and obviously that's one of the toughest places to play in for opposing team. So What was it like playing in front of the fans and some of your best moments as a Buck?
The fans were great. Some of the most passionate fans in the game. They were very loud. We had the fear the deer thing. I mean, it was great, man. The fans were awesome. Probably my best moment was probably I think we were playing against Phoenix Suns at the time, and I went out there and I got a triple double, which is probably one of my best games in the NBA. As not you see Westbrook and these guys averaging triple doubles nowadays. I mean, the game is a lot faster than what it was back then. But triple double is something very a lot of there's been a lot of great players who had never got one triple double. For me to have one, I wish I could have got more, but at the same time, that one is something that I kind of cherish because not a lot of guys get a chance to play in the NBA, let alone go out there and get a triple double.
Another fan question. They want to know some of your best moments overseas.
I think my best moments overseas was probably my last year over there when I played in Breogan, Lugo. You some passionate fans, man. They still blow me up on Twitter all the time. So I love it. I got to get back over there soon. But that was probably one of my best seasons. When I averaged like 27 points a game. I don't think nobody's ever averaged 27 since I've left. And those fans are just great, man. I mean, I think that was the kind of moment where I'm Flint's all day and kind of just trying to transform myself and trying to be a great defender and kind of have my game be as well rounded as possible. But when I went out that year, my last year in Spain, I think the year before, 2 years before that, I had tore my MCL, so I wasn't really healthy. But that year in Spain, that was probably one of my best years and best moments, and where I really got my mojo back as far as scoring. And I think I had like maybe 10, 11 straight games of 30 plus points a game, and I was really playing well and really confident with my abilities.
Yeah. So speaking of, I want to go back to the Bucks. Tell our friends what was it like playing with Charlie Westbrook? Two Charlies on the same team, and obviously he's still playing ball too.
Are you talking about Charlie Villanueva?
Yeah, Charlie. Yeah, so not
Yeah.
you didn't play with Charlie Westbrook.
Now, who is Charlie? I don't know who Charlie Westbrook is. I mean Charlie Villanueva.
Charlie Westbrook is another former Buck.
Oh no,
Oh
no, me
no.
and Charlie Villanueva, who
Okay.
yeah, we played together. It was tough. Somebody say Charlie, we both looking,
Yeah.
but at the same time, he was a great player, so I enjoyed playing with him and even just watching him, what he's got going on now. I don't know who people follow him on Instagram, but been doing really great and really, really successful after basketball. You really love to see that too.
Yeah. So for you, what's it like now? So when you saw your former team in the championship last year with the Bucks, obviously Giannis, a star in the league, and now the Bucks are a forced competitor in the East now.
I'm very happy. I think that's the fans deserved it. I think like I said, they're very passionate fans. And even when I was there playing, we didn't have some great seasons, but they still came out and they supported us, and that's all you want. And I feel like Milwaukee, they did it the right way. Going out there drafting Giannis and for Giannis to go out there, and a great player. Milwaukee's not the biggest market, not the greatest city in the world as far as all the hype. It's a great city, but at the same time, it's no LA, it's no New York. And, Giannis had opportunities to probably go elsewhere, but him, making that commitment to Milwaukee and Milwaukee making that commitment to him, man, it almost brought tears to my eyes just to see how happy he was because I know, I'm not around, but seeing him, but I just know, just watching him, the effort that he put into it and everything, the blood and the sweat, the tears that he put into going out there and playing every night because he competes hard every night. I love watching him play also because he doesn't care who it is. He's going to go out there and compete.
Well, yeah. So for you, before we get to your Warriors career, what was it like playing against LeBron throughout your career? And obviously, LeBron's still going at it with the Lakers and one of the best players in my opinion.
Probably one of the greatest athletes ever. I mean, and what he's doing right now at his age, 36, 37 years old, still going out and scoring 50. I mean, the way he's taking care of his body, I think that's something that a lot of these young guys should be watching because back in the day, nobody was really thinking about taking care of their body. But now you see what happens and the longevity that you can have playing in the NBA and playing at a high level by just taking care of your body. And, he does a great job of that. And I think he has one of the best, basketball IQs of any player as far as, making the right play, making his teammates better. So it was seeing him playing and seeing him right now. I mean, this what he's doing is remarkable. I mean, I don't think there's not going to be too many that can do what he's did for as long as he's done it.
Yeah, so now going to your Warriors career, what was it like playing with the Warriors? Another great franchise, a great fan base, and that's another tough place to play in too. And you got to play with Steph Curry too in your career.
Yeah, he was a young buck. You
Yeah,
know, he isn't who he is now. He's probably put a little weight on. He was a little skinny little guy back then, but he could still shoot it with the best of them. And
yeah,
the Warriors fans were great too. I think, like I said, the year I was out there, we weren't having our best season, but every night, man, it was sellouts. The fans were there cheering us on. They definitely have probably one of the best fan bases in all of sports, really. I mean, the way even now with Steph and the way like it's like the Beatles, when you see all the fans there to watch them early, but at the same time, there was a huge fan base even before Steph. When I was a lot of love in the city and everywhere we went.
yeah. So tell our fans. We have another fan question. What was it like when they want to know? When did you realize Steph can be a star like this?
When I first saw him, I mean, just kind of just seeing you can tell uh, when I first got there. I mean, just his drive to be great. It's not like you see a lot of guys who might show up to practice late, might leave early. Steph was one of those guys. He was always there early. He was kind of like one of those gym rats. Even though he's had the skill, you can see him in the weight room working on this game. I mean, then you see him in the off season with the work he was putting in off season. You could just tell that the skill set was there, and he had the drive to get better. And that's what a lot of these guys don't understand. Like even if you're good and you're talented, you still got to put the work in. And I think that's one of the things with Steph. He put the work in unlike no other. And it was great to see that. I never got a chance to play with like a Kobe Bryant or anything like that, but I heard the stories about how Kobe was at the gym early, how he stayed late, how he was, and that's the same thing that you hear about KD, you hear about LeBron, and it's the same thing with Steph.
All right, we have another fan question. They want to know what was your nickname throughout your career.
My nickname. Most people just call me Chuck. I mean, they call me Chuck. I mean, one inside thing was Bogut, and when I played with Milwaukee, a lot of guys called me Snacks.
Yeah.
The simple fact that you on our private on a private plane, but our chartered planes, we used to have like all these snacks on the planes. And when we got off, I know we was getting to a hotel at like 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. A lot of people don't know when you get into these cities sometimes, room service might be shut down. You don't know what's going on. So I would just take the snacks off the plane just in case, so I had something to eat.
Yeah, so tell our fans some of your best moments as a Golden State Warrior.
Um, I think the moments in the locker room, on the bus, when we were on the road, we always the Monte Ellis room, somebody's room, and we just kind of just hang out. I mean, we weren't playing that great on the court, but at the same time, our team camaraderie was great. Steph was people don't know. I mean, people probably see it. Steph's a big kid. I'm a big kid. So we definitely just like the laughing and joking that we did with each other off the court is something that I'll take with me forever.
Yeah, so before we get to your coaching career, speaking of coaching, what do you like about today's NBA, where the NBA now is changing, obviously positionless basketball, you said, and also coach first year coaches, for example, Steve Nash, first year coached a couple years ago. Now he has experience. So what do you like about today's NBA, where teams are giving these former players chances to coach now?
It's not just college but pro, because I think they're very capable. A lot of guys who play in the NBA that can coach, and I think a lot of these players nowadays respect former players, because those former players went out there and did the same thing that these new players are trying to do. So I really think that is a great chance for these newer former players to go out there and really do a great job coaching. And Steve Nash is doing a great job. Steve Kerr is doing a great job. So there's a lot of great coaches out there who played in the game before, and these younger. And I just love to see it, man. And today's basketball is great. I can't wait for the playoffs, because I think there's going to be I think this year's going to be a really good playoff, especially with the fans being back, no bubble. I think Only thing left is Kyrie being able to play in every game.
Yeah. Well, I want to get your. Let me ask you that real quick. What it doesn't make sense. The Nets just got fined for having Kyrie in the building in the game, but it doesn't make sense. Why just let him play and now they won't let him play? I mean, it really doesn't make sense. This whole thing with Kyrie.
Yeah, I mean that's it's really not for me. And the thing is, I'm a fan. I want to see him play, and hopefully, the NBA, New York, whoever is making decisions, hopefully, and especially with things kind of starting to go back to normal. Hopefully, we'll see him back soon playing in games in New York.
Yeah, and it's gonna be no one wants to face the Nets if they're fully healthy, and I think this is the Nets can definitely win the championship because I feel like no if they're an 8 seed or whatever seed they finish in,
Yeah,
if I were the opposing team, I would not want to face them.
exactly. Me neither.
Yeah, yeah. So for you, speaking of your coaching career, you got to be assistant coach with the Texas Legend and the Iowa Wolves. So take us to that. What's that been like for you being a coach now, being a former NBA player now, helping these young kids?
It was a lot of fun. Like you said, being a former player, and just seeing these guys chasing their dreams, especially when you're playing in the G League. I played overseas. I played in some minor leagues and knowing the same thing that I was going through the back in the day that these players are going through now, and just trying to help them, recognize that it's not going to be overnight. But the thing is, you just got to continue to put that work in. A lot of guys want it to happen, right away. A lot of kids nowadays just want things to happen right away. But sometimes, if you just continue to do the right thing, somebody will notice. And I'm glad to see a lot of guys who played in the G League actually in the NBA now.
Yeah. So now you're a current coach for Flint United. So what's that been like for you?
Well, I coached last year. I'm not really coaching this year. I
Okay.
mean, it was a little time consuming, having a 9 to 5 and that also coaching that. But it was great. It's a little different when you're in that head coaching seat. You sweat a little bit more. When you're an assistant, it's just, you kind of helping out. But when you're there, and I learned a lot about myself as far as being a coach, some things I need to work on, some things I think I felt I was good at. But nobody's perfect. And the thing is, if I do get the opportunity to coach again, I definitely have some things I want to do differently.
Yeah. So speaking of, obviously you still play in the league. So would you consider the big three down the line?
I would consider it, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know if my body will hold up. You get older, man. You got a body. Nowadays I wake up in the morning and some might be hurting, so I don't want to really commit to something like the big three. And but at the same time, if the opportunity kind of presented itself, I would be open to it, but it's not something I'm kind of actively pursuing.
And also, would you consider being a coach, like somewhere in the NBA or college at some point?
If it made sense, if it's the right situation, I definitely would consider it. I'm always open to coaching. I think I love the game of basketball. I love giving back to the game. I love giving back to younger kids. And like I said, if it's the right, opportunity, I've had a couple of different opportunities come my way. Some of it didn't work out. Some of them I really didn't really actually pursue the way I probably could have. But just kind of just waiting on the right situation.
All right, so we'll take two more fan questions here. One of our fans wants to know how many ankle breakers did you have in your career, and then another fan wants to know what's that one quote you live by.
I never got my ankles broke. I was a
No,
great
no, no.
defender.
No, have you broke any? They want
Oh,
to know if you broke.
I might have. I think there's probably like a couple highlight tapes of me out there, especially when I played in Europe when I had the ball in my hands a lot more. I had some pretty good highlights. If you Google me, I mean, you probably see some when I was over in Europe. I had some pretty good moves. What was the second question?
So one of our other fans want to know what quote do you live by?
Oh, with a quote by I always kind of like live by the quote like my dad when I was younger. The same people that you pass on the way to the top are the same pass on the way down. So I always kind of just treat everybody with respect. You never know when you might need somebody.
All right, so a couple more things here before I let you go. Obviously, you played against Coach Pop. What was your reaction when he got the most? Now he's the most winners. He's now the leader of most wins in the NBA now. So, what was your reaction when you saw that?
I think he's a great coach. I think one One thing I love about any great coach is, I think the key is treating every player the same. So, I think, even back in the day with Tony Parker and Tim Duncan, you see him yelling at those top players just like you yell at one of the guys, the 12th guy on the bench. I think as a player, especially if you're that guy on the bench, you got to respect that because everybody the same, and he wants everybody to, if you let somebody get away with something, then you don't let the next person get away with it. Players don't respect you. I think a lot of players respect him because he treats everybody the same.
Yeah, so before we get to the last two things, I want to ask you about a really, really inspiring story. Former NBA player Delonte West, and obviously now he's playing in the Big Three. They're trying out for the Big Three. I don't know if you've been following his story, and it's really inspiring. And what are your thoughts on him and being able to come back and just being able to try and play again?
I'm just happy to see him back. I think, a lot of people don't know as far as, mental or whatever it is that, that's kind of bothering him or with things that are kind of affecting him. But just seeing him back out there, I know basketball is something that he loves. And if he can get back out there and just play and just take it one day at a time. And then for him to just go out there and play a sport that he loves. And I think sometimes people don't know when you get out there on that court, it's kind of like all the problems kind of go away. So as long as he get on that court and his problems can go away for that hour or two, however long he's, and just take it one day at a time, man. I'm just happy to see him healthy and in a good mind state.
Mm-hmm. And the last two things here, we're part of this our team is part of this foundation. It's called the Hugh Jackson Foundation. He's a former NFL coach. He's now the coach for Grambling State. We're trying to help him prevent human trafficking, making sure the community stays safe, the kids stay safe. So we'll send you the foundation so you can go check it out.
Sounds good, man. Thank you.
Yeah, and the last thing here, would you like to say anything to all the nurses, doctors, and all the essential workers right now?
We appreciate you. I think, with everything that's going on in the world, mentally, I think without them, there's no telling, where we'd be. This pandemic probably be worse than what it is, and just having somebody who kind of looked at it, looked at this adversity in the face and took it on head on. I definitely appreciate you.
Yeah, well said. And would you like to plug anything to our fans where they can find you on social media?
If they're on social media, I don't even know what my social medias are, man. I think it's Charlie Bell 14 on Instagram and Flintstone 14 on Twitter.
Yeah, so there it is. That wraps up episode 994 with Flint, Michigan, former Michigan State shooting guard Charlie Bell. He also played for the Phoenix Suns, Mavericks, overseas, Bucks, Golden State Warriors. Man, what a great career. He won the NCAA champion with Michigan State, top scorer in overseas basketball. What a great story. Great player, like I said. And now he's used to be a coach. Now he still plays in the league. So hopefully he gets another opportunity somewhere if he wants to. But thank you again, Charlie Bell, for joining the show. It's truly an honor. And thank you to our fans for tuning in and asking great questions to Charlie. And we would love to have you back on the show at some point down the line so you can meet the full team. But keep up the great work, and thank you again.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you.
No problem.